Good evening, everybody. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, all the panelists, for it's a topic that we have this evening, which is beyond multiplex and hypermarket and the new anchors that we can look at. Unfortunately, we don't have any multiplex and hyper uh, occupies, but we requested Sumit to be part of this. Thanks, Sumit, so that you can give us some perspective. Uh, Let me start with the question with Sunil. Sunil, now that we are seeing that resizing is happening, the multiplexes are looking at smaller, lesser screens, right? Hypermarket, thanks to Blinkit and Swiggy and others, uh, are also reducing. Earlier, um, Rajneesh said about in Orbit Malad, where they had a hyper earlier. Now they have a smaller gourmet supermarket. What are the views that you see? You have a supermarket at your mall at Orai. And what do you see? How does that work for you?
So, in my view, it is reinvention of these categories, which is important. So we earlier had a supermarket which was 55,000 square feet. Then it reduced to 11,000. Now it's reduced to 8,000. In my view, the supermarkets were selling very less of F&B and more of apparel to get the margins and all. So I would not call it a proper supermarket. With all these online channels coming in, I think supermarkets have become experiential. They are limited to F&B now, which is what is the reason people go to a supermarket to buy. So I think they've reinvented, they've got the right size. If you've got the right experiential supermarket where you give an experience, you wouldn't buy premium stuffs online. So you need a supermarket to see, touch, feel how fresh it is in F&B. That is what brings in people. So I think it's a positive move. You can get more categories, more brands, give a wider choice to customers, which is good. In terms of cinema, again, I definitely do not feel it is irrelevant. It is a very relevant format. The only thing is, how do you get the right size? Earlier, cinemas used to be the largest area that used to take. I think they've also come to a conclusion that how do they do cinemas instead of doing regular screens. So a new mall that we are developing, I was talking to the multiplex retailer. I said, you want 5 screens, 6 screens? He says, see, for me cinema, I do one 4DX, I do one PXL. Then let's decide, do we want 3 or 4 based on the location. So even cinema is getting experiential. So I think the format is changing. All of them are relevant because when cinema comes, it helps my F&B. And I think it is important that we get a big F&B into our malls, because if you do only fashion and you don't give the guy who's wearing a premium product a premium F&B, he may not come to your mall. For a cinema guy, if you don't give him the right QSRs over there, he may choose another cinema. So I think it is reinvention. All formats are relevant. Size, based on the property size, is what they have to adapt to, and experience. It's all about experience now.
Thanks, Sunil. Next to Sanjeev, if I can just, if I can just, follow up on that, on the F&B, right? As a mall developer, what we are seeing is the F&B, earlier, the percentage, the occupancy percentage is only going up, right? What are the new views? And I'm sure it helps mitigate, as Sunil said, that as the cinema is reducing the space and the hypers are reducing their space. So obviously we can add much more, right? We can add much more variety to our centers. So what's the things that you all are doing at your centers which mitigates this?
Uh, Thank you. Uh, in order to come to that question of F&B, first of all, I would like to say any kind of transformation which requires in retail and the retail evolution which is happening, there are 3 things which we need to focus on. That is CSI. So explaining to that, CSI is customer-centric approach. S is your strategic partnership. And last but not least, the I is your innovative thinking. So whether you talk about F&B or you talk about beyond multiplexes or you talk about beyond hyper, everywhere the experiential destination is what the malls are evolving to, and we have to work on that particular aspect. Similarly, we have evolved in terms of F&B. If we talk about the current scenario of F&B in mall, mall has become an F&B destination, wherein we have larger than life F&B destinations in our mall, more than 5,000 square feet, 10,000 square feet kind of a development, which we have done on large terrace areas where people are having that kind of experience. There are concepts where F&B is evolving with food and beverage as well as your entertainment also, with the gaming zones, and also with your the cricket experience which is happening. There is a concept which we are planning to bring in. There is also something called Beer Park, wherein you can have a lot of breweries experience and explore on the options wherein the flora and fauna is also there with the terrace setup. That creates larger than life experience. And that's how the malls are evolving with the evolution of making it an experiential center. Apart from that, one important point which I wanted to touch base on is how we are evolving in terms of malls is not just the shopping center. We are converting it into a community center, wherein we are also touching base on the social aspects of the people, wherein trying to get emotionally connected with them by creating art and culture experience, so that people come more and more in our shopping center for meeting those experiences and thereby converting it into the shopping experience. Apart from that, our cinema, if I talk about, especially in tier 2 city, and if I give you an example of a very live example of multiplex, I was talking to one of my colleague a few minutes back that it's not like that people are moving off from cinemas. It's all about creating the experience. So if I give you an example, though we don't have a good content at the moment, the inventory is not there, still people, the Indian culture is that in tier 2 city, they still want to go and experience outside with their families and friends. And for that, you have to create an experience. So I have a cinema where is a 10-screen cinema in my mall, wherein I have 2 insignia only, and I keep getting calls from all who's and who of the city that will it be possible to get one seat in your insignia. So that's kind of an experience which we are creating. You have the insignia is all recliners. So you go with your family, you plan your dinner also there, you order your food platter also there, the kebab platters they serve. So that gives an overall experience, and especially the trained staff of Inox, they come and bow down in front of you. That gives you an elevated feeling to take your orders. And you have everything at your seat where you press the button and the guy is going to come and take the order from you. So that's kind of an experience which they are giving, is like as if they are sitting in the lounge of their house only and experiencing the movie with their family and friends. So that's how the paradigm shift has happened in cinema. Apart from that, also we are working on the virtual reality centers, which is the talk of the world at the moment. So you have a lot of VR and AR gamings, which engage a lot of youth customers, the Gen Z and the millennials. And that's how we tap on Gen Z and millennials, and they bring in their family members also. And we all know that currently the Gen Zs are the people, those who control the shopping experiences of a middle class family, upper middle class family also. So that's how we are making a shift in both F&B, cinema experience, and the entertainment.
Thanks, Sanjeev. You just put me a little bit of pickle here, saying, the experience that you just spoke about, what a cinema does, and we are trying to discuss something, how do we change it? But coming to Puneet on that, Puneet, I think what F&B impact, right, does it have? I think the customer base only changes, it increases because developers are able to get more brands into it. So it's different kind of customer base that has, right? How does it, as anyway it offers a lot of food today, right? Hypermarkets, we are seeing, yes, hypermarkets are changing, but brands like Lulu are only expanding more, and they've got an excellent variety of F&B that is present inside the hypermarkets as well. So how do you keep up with these things, with the hyper competition within the cinema food which is there within? And you coming from running restaurants, how does that how do you manage that? And the new F&B that we mentioned about, which Sanjeev again spoke about, like the breweries are coming into play and other things are coming into play. How is that a competition, or just everything just works along seamlessly? How does it? Your views on that?
Yeah, so so I think what we are experiencing post-corona is, post-COVID actually the QSR sales went up, but the distribution of the sales actually went to 80-90% to delivery. And for dining to come back to pre-COVID levels, it's just still not happened. And as you rightly said, what has happened is that, the innovation, the creativity, the number of players, the competition, which has increased over time is tremendous. It is impacting for sure. QSR is for last 1.5 years in a little bit of stress, so to say, because of inflation going up, people not being able to spend that much money. They are spending, but they are either downtrading themselves, or probably people who have money are going for a experience there. Having said that, and as you rightly said, in those price points, basically almost everybody is offering something or the other. So the consumer is getting, this thing. But the focus has been for us, basically, of course, so these brands have seen these ups and downs. I think this is a time for change in terms of being more innovative, in terms of being right now, we're focusing on value. While we are actually innovating, we're actually now, if you look at it, the KFC marketing or whatever, communication is going out, the kernel is out, it's more younger generation oriented. The menu is driven like that, so we are looking at the base, how we can actually look at the larger base, again, reinventing the wheel, basically there. So at all levels, work is going on, so to retain the existing consumer, to get the more out of the existing consumer, add more consumers, look at the new generation, which is there. And I feel that it's a matter of a few years. I think things should come back. They have the strength, and the resilience to actually fight this and come out. And I think even with cinemas, as my friend rightly said, in cinemas also. So what we have done post-corona, COVID, is that we've started doing the right size assets, and we know that the business has moved to delivery, let's say. So have smaller size assets, but have more number of assets so that you can serve there, basically there. Cinema, I think, is going through a similar phase wherein people are wanting to, consume that entertainment at home, maybe at Netflix or whatever. But still, there is no, basically alternate to actually going with the family, going to a mall, enjoying that movie. It's just that content is just not coming. I believe South is still doing better. Maybe North needs to, get more content right. But if cinema is not working, let me tell you, QSRs basically in malls, the dine-in has gone down. Sorry, the dine-in has gone down, and that is impacting us basically, big time basically. So we need to do something to get that entertainment consumer back, because that is where when they spend on food, I'm just putting the hat of the food guy right now and talking about it, so something needs to be done. Maybe I can't put my finger to what exactly is the solve for this, but yes, something needs to be done. The space needs to be more community-centric. If you, just one point I want to add is that if you look at Book My Show, you look at what happened with Coldplay, you look at what happened with these Illuminati, right? Actually, the country, town and country planning people are not really thinking about, that how the people are consuming entertainment now. And I think less venues are there, more people want to go there, but options are not there. So if the malls can take that space, maybe theaters, maybe shows, maybe big centers, I think it will be a big draw. Last point to close this, we are doing a lot of catering in these shows, and we're seeing a lot of joy. It's just that if something like this can come in big centers, I probably know a couple of developers are working with the government and doing big asset developments, taking care of, let's say, sports activities and events and live shows and stuff like that. I think that is the future of entertainment basically. And now people are ready. It's just that somebody has to come up and say, okay, I'm bringing this basically on the table. I think that is the future.
Well, thanks, Puneet. Just a quick follow-up question to that. You mentioned something that the QSR itself is facing scenario. Is it more towards larger metros, but shopping centers in a tier 2 where the QSRs would still do a better understanding just because there's the variety that is coming into it, or it's across metros and tier 2?
Anand rightly said. So largely it is basically metros driven where densification already happened, right? Post-COVID, as I said, we've really densified because we saw the joy and we really expanded big time. And we are seeing a little bit of pressure there. If you ask me, really, we are really 45% we are expanding in tier 3, tier 4 now. We're going to towns where population is 1 or 2 lakhs and we're seeing a little bit of joy there. But I still feel the brands are still not ready, except maybe 1 or 2 brands. Like Domino's is a market leader. They have the product, the assortment, the menu, and the value consciousness is there for them to penetrate. Maybe other brands will have that learning to come, and that is where it's an opportunity area for us. That those virgin markets is what we are gunning for. So we are opening KFCs in small towns like a Sivakasi, 2 lakh population, even less than that also we are opening now, and we're seeing joy. So that's a good sign for us, basically. Yeah.
Great, Puneet. Thank you. Moving to Mr. Singh, we were chatting earlier, and we were explaining that how the footfalls from the cinema, has used to always have a good impact while shopping at your luggage stores of Samsonite. So what are the views now that is changing? And because also the cinemas are still existing and still on, right? It's more got to do with what the content might be and what kind of stuff that is coming there. Are these as the footfalls, if they are reducing, is that making an effect, or the mall developers are doing enough to have other brands so that you all still do well in your stores? How is that going for you?
Cinema does help driving the customers in the adequate numbers to the mall, and ultimately the conversion.
Can somebody please close the door if you don't mind, please? Thank you.
Ultimately, the conversion ratio is always to the gross numbers what you attract as a mall. Definitely, it helps because I have got some experiences, some bad experiences where the cinema took longer time because of it passes through a lot of clearances, and certain malls they couldn't manage, and it impacted our sales hugely. So it does help. That is number one. So there is a significant role of a cinema, and definitely the cinema and the food court, they complement each other and drive in certain set of customers, and we end up gaining some kind of extra bit of sales. Although there is no direct correlation of that the cinema goer of what age group will come to me, but as a whole it helps. And I'm seeing the impact increasing, not decreasing, because of various reasons. The cinemas have also evolved and they became even better and better. So definitely what we target is those set of customers who can afford to buy probably 500 rupees of a ticket. So they become my target audience as compared to the earlier times. So it's becoming better and better. Because I see when I launched my first Samsonite store in the country in year 2001, and now there's a huge difference. So that definitely evolving, and even as a brand, as a product category also, we have also evolved. Samsonite falls into bridge to luxury segment, and that definitely connects very well with the set of cinema goers who are into that earning bracket. The second part is that the competition, you said. See, the competition do not really affects adversely because it's something like this that the brand like Samsonite, which has actually been into innovations. Anything the first has been done in the category called luggage is done by Samsonite. The first wheel was put on a luggage by Samsonite. If the bag started to move from horizontal to vertical, it was done by Samsonite. The first polypropylene, which used to be generally used in the inside of the aircraft, was used for making a bag, was done by Samsonite. And every innovation, like you must have seen one of the advertising of Samsonite whereby the bag is put under the road roller. It gets flattened, and again you just push it from all four sides. It becomes the original shape and the size.
No doubts on those.
So,
Every-
so to come back to the point, the competition do not really affects us at all because we are being into innovation, being a brand leader and 114-year-old brand, it really manages its own show, so that doesn't affect. So that's where we are as far as the competition is concerned.
Thanks, Mr. Singh. Just moving to Ravinder. Ravinder, we were generally talking and you were highlighting that, some of the aspects that you have started addressing because of the resizing of the cinemas and hyper and other things. So just to highlight, how are you bringing, what we are speaking, how are you putting the community together, right? What kind of community service are you doing so that these things help and which, increases your footfalls, addresses that, the sales of the retailers and the F&B operators still remain at a good thing. What are you doing? What are you doing different?
So I'll take this question in two sections. One is resizing of cinemas. How does it complement the mall in overall offering? And two, how do we generate the community connect? So in Delhi, we proudly host the biggest cinema in the city, wherein we have got 5 formats. We have got IMAX, 4DX, Playhouse, and we have got Lux Cinemas, which is the insignia version of PVR, and we have got 7 screens. So in the other center, which we are now delivering, which will go to handover in another month or so, so we had 10 cinemas committed to them. And while we were constructing, so there was a time when we went to the table resizing the thought, and it was amicably chosen to be a 6-screen cinema. And reducing my screens from 10 to 6 allowed me to do 8 more restaurants. So which was very much in place. Out of 8 restaurants, we ended up choosing 6 restaurants and added 1 more specialized FEC for kids, which is for your toddlers. So people wherein, being an Indian parent, you still want your child to play in front of you. It is not like Western countries wherein you just leave him and then let him play. So you want them to play in front of you. So that is being very, very watchful that we have seen it and observed it on the floor. So allowing us to give 6 more restaurants with earlier planned 7 restaurants and food court. Now we had a good bouquet of say 16, 17 restaurants, good food court and good cinema offering. And on a good day, on a good movie launch, it's a happy problem that we have people waiting. The tickets gets denied. But on the leaner side, it's helped us recover or minimize our losses to best. Coming back to the community connect, so now cinemas are not just being seen, or the malls are not just seen as a shopping destination. So we would love to touch base all the points wherein we could connect with people in my at least 5-kilometer radius. So whatever they think of getting associated with the mall or non-associated with the community, because of the apartment style living, so community spaces are being taken off. Park नहीं है अच्छे sections नहीं है, अच्छी co-curricular activity के लिए कुछ करने के लिए नहीं है. So जैसे हम लोग योगा करते हैं, हम लोग walkathons कर रहे हैं, हम cyclathons कर रहे हैं, हम women specialized run कर रहे हैं, हम night runs कर रहे हैं. Example of last to last month, we are a mall operator. We should principally focus on addressing to the ease of convenience to the customer, then ingress and egress. So we started using this phenomena of Karwa Chauth. So we had Mehndi guys coming in from Gujarat, specialized, and we'd had 2 days of proper tent and things under one roof. So because Mehndi अभी कैसे लगती है दिल्ली में कि road side बैठ के लगाते हैं लोग. This is regular. So what 10% होंगे जो घर पे बुलाते होंगे artist को, हम लोगों ने उनको मॉल में एड्रेस किया. अब मेहंदी लग रही 3 घंटे के लिए, वाइफ बिजी होगी, अब पति क्या करेगा, बच्चे क्या करेंगे, कुछ तो करेंगे मॉल में, कॉफ़ी पियेंगे, खाना खाएंगे, कुछ तो करेंगे. So that is how we start engaging. So smallest, or we don't look at how do we connect. So any reasons to bring them out of their home and serve them at the mall, whether I make money or I don't make money. So I become a part of their life, a daily life. तो उनके बैक ऑफ माइंड में हमेशा ये रहता है कि मेहंदी के लिए कुछ ना कुछ किया होगा उन लोगों ने, इस चीज़ के लिए उन्होंने कुछ ना कुछ किया होगा. जैसे एज सिंपल एज छोटी दिवाली, मिट्टी के दिए मॉल वाला नहीं रखता. हमारी फ्ली मार्केट में भी गिव 8 काउंटर्स टू ओनली आर्टिजन्स, FOC. तो अगर घर पे आपको दिए लगाने हैं तो आप क्या करोगे, you'll go to high streets. No, we allow you to come to the center. Take it from us. So we are trying, this is just a novel approach wherein we are giving it back to the community and trying to be more relevant with people around us. These are the two major things, and customers are changing. So now children are making the decisions, and decision happens a day before they visit the mall. So you need to keep them engaged every now and then. 70% of the time, it is social media which is pushing them to come to the mall for any reasons. If they are aware, they are connected, you are able to put your message through, they will come back to you. And shopping will happen.
Very interesting, Ravinder. It's, some of the stuff, whatever helps getting the footfalls in, I think you're addressing, most of it. Abhishek, moving to you, we were generally talking, how much of your shopping, let be cinema again and hyper. I think we have discussed a lot of cinema, hyper is probably less, but we still have a developer to go. But just want to understand how much of it is impulse shopping, how much of it is, focus shopping. If the way Ravinder said, if children are making the choice and are pushing the parents to, go to a mall and do their shopping, it's already a planned shopping that is in place, right? So how does it work for you? How does Lacoste look at it?
Okay, thanks, Anand. So in our case, and what is our experience, I'll say cinema, hyper, and FEC are the necessary evil for the mall. They do attract a lot of footfall. And I'll just give you an example. A couple of weeks back, we had 2 strong content in the cinema, and all of us did good business during those 2 weekends. So it means it helps. There's no doubt about it. Now, the debate is whether these customers, nowadays, every shopping is a planned shopping, because more and more the prices are going up, and as he was mentioning, the people are under so much stress in terms of where to spend, how much to spend. So every shopping has really gone to a planned shopping. Now, how can we really call all the people back again and again in the mall when you don't have the content, and especially in North India, where you have a scarcity of content? So when Ravinder is reducing from 10 to 6, he is opening 4, 6 new restaurants. But understand, for F&B also, this is always a plan. And you cannot go to the same restaurant and can have the same kind of food again and again. Instead, if I have to advise to him, and if it's possible at all, why don't you convert 2 of those cinema hall into something where you do stand-up comedian, you do some kind of music festival, you kind of do something about children's, there's a children day coming up, you do something around it, and that also brings a lot of footfall. Nowadays in Delhi NCR or in major metro where we are present, it's the smaller family, right? We don't have a huge family nowadays, and why people are coming to mall these days is because actually there's nothing to do at the home, and we really don't have a community space. Mall for me is a good 5-star air-conditioned park where I can come, and shopping is impulsive only to lower price bracket. For a higher price bracket, it is always planned, and I don't fall into that bracket. So for me, yes, I need cinema for sure. It helps me for sure. FEC hyper, yes, it helps for sure. How do you really help me when you don't have the right content is how developers needs to decide and help brands to really capitalize on.
Perfect. Thanks, Abhishek. Just moving to Sumit very quickly before we go to Sujit. Sumit, being from Landmark Group, there are, many brands that you all have, starting from a hyper to value fashion to a department store. And I think over the years, we have addressed this pre-COVID and post-COVID. And we have addressed many factors of now we are discussing about hypermarket, which is also again something under, the portfolio of the group. So what are you looking at? What kind of changes, what kind of customer, behavior that has changed today, keeping in 24 and moving to 25. Uh, what's the different outlook that you see for various of your brands, right? And how are you competing with it?
So, I'm to break your question into different segments. So, I'll touch upon the hyper part of it, which is Spar, which we have
Sure.
primarily present in South and the northern part of the country. So, yes, as we be talking about, the right sizing is a question which is coming up in terms of what is the right app size. Now, also one learning which is over a period of time emerging with the fashion coming inside the hyper and with all the value fashion also sporing up in the country all across and everything. So what should be the ideal ratio of the fashion in the hypermarket? So still I'll say we call it as a hyper, you call it as a smart or a bazaar kind of a thing. But the grocery and the food will play a pivotal role in that. Now, that ratio of grocery and food into the hyper is something which has to be redefined, I'll say all across the hyper category, wherever the hyper category is. Because right now, hyper also has a fashion which, as a culturally, we started off with hyper having fashion and which is slowly and steadily going down inside because now people have more options in the value category and everything. Now coming to the other segments, which is a lifestyle and max, which is penetrated more into tier 3 and tier 2 kind of a towns and everything. I'll say shopping centers or shopping complexes with multiplex or screens plays a pivotal role for us also. Even if you are going to a tier 2 or tier 3. Now the count of screens and what kind of a content is coming, that is something which is has to be defined. But couple of screens plays a pivotal difference. So I would not negate that multiplexes don't play a pivotal role anywhere in any kind of a center. Even if it's a tier 3 town, a 2 screen or a 3 screens plays a very pivotal role in the upkeep and the experience of that center. So people do plunge in terms of from a entertainment to shopping, both complementing each other. So that's something which cannot just go off. Coming to the sizing and the competition and everything, yes, India in today's date, we are competing with the online segment, which already has an options of the same availability. But in terms of experience, is what is playing a role right now. People wanting to come to the store not just to shop, but have that experiential center also to have that feel of the ambience, which is also that's why the stores are upgrading for everybody. Everybody's upgrading either in terms of the look and feel or even the size and everything. But what's the right size that a brand can be? But yes, that experience has to come in terms of when it comes to the shopping centers. So my view is right size as well as screens do play a pivotal role.
No, I think, thanks, Sumit. I think I agree. Sujit, moving, just on what Sumit said and what, what we are discussing, how I think what we've figured out, is both are important. Probably the sizing is what, has to be looked at or what people are addressing, right? The cinema operators themselves or the developers when they're planning their centers. Uh, what kind, from Amnora's point of view, what kind of things that have you done different? Let it be the community service center that has changed around. Are you addressing this, in a different way? Are you adding more entertainment to this? What have you looked at? How have you addressed it?
See, again, both multiplex as well as hypermarkets, they are important for a mall, but the number of footfalls, what it used to generate earlier, is reducing day by day. In terms of multiplex, if you see how this 6 months last has been, similarly with the hypermarket, size getting resized, smaller sizes are coming up. So the number of footfalls are coming down. So that's where you really need to look for some more options, which comes up as a way of generating more footfalls. It could be in either of the ways which we can connect. Like for us, what we've done is we are part of a township plus a big corporate offices around. So we've increased the FEC. Generally, everybody has one FEC. We have 3 FECs which we are hosting now. Plus we have a trampoline park. Plus we've just added one of the biggest thing is like an 80,000 square feet of a pickle and a paddle, which is nowadays very in. Especially like in a city like Pune, this is this would be one of the destination. So it gets you a destination crowd, plus it adds more of it. Plus, as you know, we've also tied up with a lot of sports because Pune is more of city which enhance more of sports activities and everything. So we use our common areas. We have a big common area which we use for all these type of things. So it's more moving towards how can you make your center towards more towards a destination by having just rather than just going on multiplex or a hypermarket, but additionally adding more.
Very interesting. Yeah, I think pickle and paddleball is one of the, big new thing that's coming up, and so great to hear that you've already introduced. No, I think thank you everybody. I don't think the cinema and the hypermarket is going anywhere. They are here to stay. Probably the resizing hyper might be called as supermarkets going forward, or the gourmet markets. And I think the cinema screens, the content is very important. But nevertheless, I think the footfalls are important in every center. I think the developers have to look into that part for all the retailers that are present here, F&B or non-F&B. But thank you everybody for this lovely discussion.